Hello again, Evolve All family. Now, I'm not sure if the term quaroutine has already been coined, but I heard this from Mr. Will of the Welcome Crew. If you don't know Mr. Will, this is him. But it really got me thinking about my routine and how it's changed during this pandemic. I went from going to the studio 6 days a week to being home all the time. And as much as people say they hate routine, the past couple of weeks have shown that humans are creatures of habit. Granted, there's been a lot that has happened in a short amount of time, but people are really struggling to find the structure that'll help them get through the day. Here are a couple things that I do to develop my core routine. First thing I do is I write everything down. And when I say everything, I mean things I want to accomplish, my schedule, thoughts, ideas, all the above, just to get it out of my head and then somewhere that I can see it in front of me. Now, my go-to note-taking app is OneNote. You can use it on your laptop, computer, phone. It gives me a place to put all of my ideas and thoughts and see them and figure out what I want to do with them. By doing this, it allows you to get everything out of your head and organize it in a way that makes sense to you that you actually remember, instead of hoping that you're going to remember it later on. Once you've found your preferred way of writing things down, the next thing to do is to organize. Now, I'm pretty good with remembering names, but when it comes to ideas and thoughts that are constantly floating in and out of the never-ending shuffle in my head, I have to rely on making sure that I write everything down and organize them in a way that I know is going to help me later on. Now, when I say I literally write everything down, even with the outline for this vlog, I wrote down little things on the side so that I would remember them because I knew I wanted to address them later on. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not a naturally organized person. It takes me a lot of work and it's taken me practice to figure out the flow that works best for me. Now, I haven't even perfected it. I'm still constantly changing things up as I find more and more things that are efficient that'll help my workflow throughout the day. One of the things that I have to constantly remind myself is that getting organized is a way harder task than staying organized. So by starting and organizing my thoughts and ideas immediately instead of typing everything down and trying to figure out where everything goes later on, I'm able to stay on top of it, stay organized, and use this in the most efficient way possible. So by staying organized, it helps with my workflow. But this also means that I have to do upkeep, where I'm making sure that things that I don't need anymore are deleted, or that I make sure that I put into a completed folder. By staying organized, it'll make sure that when you need something, you'll be able to find it later on. Now, with all this too, I do as much prep as I possibly can. By making sure that you prep ahead of time, it allows you to adapt to what's happening in the moment and takes away some of the variability. Now, this leads me to the third thing that I do to develop my core routine, is giving myself attainable goals and when to accomplish them by. Now, I know I've talked about the 5-second rule before, but this is a great example of giving myself a goal and when to accomplish it by. One of the simplest things that I use it for is in the morning when I wake up. It's super hard to get out of my comfy bed. But if I give myself the goal of getting out of bed by the time I get down to 1, that's already a task completed. Now, I think a lot of people are having difficulty developing these goals and the time frame and all that stuff because school, work, anything that we normally do in our daily routine gives us that structure. Now, a little bit deeper into goals and when to accomplish them by is something that I actually learned from Master Emerson. He introduced me to the 4 disciplines of execution. Now, while not all of it may apply to you, one of the things that they talk about in it is a lead versus a lag measure. Now, as simply as I can put it, the lag measure is your big overarching goal. What is it that you want to accomplish? Basically, what this is almost like reverse engineering. So basically how it works is you have a big goal in mind, and then you have the little measurable, tangible actions that you're going to take to accomplish that goal. So as daunting and impossible as a big task may seem, by breaking it down into smaller measurable goals, it's going to help keep you motivated to keep working towards that bigger goal. One of my absolute favorite stories that I listen to constantly is the story of how Will Smith's dad one day decided that he just wanted to break down an entire wall and have Will and his brother rebuild it. He didn't go out and say he wanted to build the biggest, baddest wall there was. He said, I'm going to lay this brick as perfectly as a brick can be laid. No other brick in the world will be laid more perfectly than this brick. And you do that constantly, and you do that every day. Before you know it, you have your wall. Now, that's one of my favorite things that I listen to because it just goes to remind me that my goals don't have to happen immediately. Even if there's a setback, even if there's something in the process that I need to fix, that I can still do that. I can still accomplish my big goal. And these little hang-ups, these little things that happen are just little roadblocks that we'll be able to flatten out later on. So with that being said, hopefully you guys are staying safe out there. Hopefully this helps you guys. Please send us a message and let's stay strong as a community. All right, guys, have a good rest of the day.